Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the solar return chart in astrology. Now, the solar return chart in astrology is cast on or near your birthday, which puts the sun at the same precise position as it was when you were born. It is calculated at the location you will be at the time of the return. It will start at the time that your sun arrives at the exact position when you were born until the next solar return begins. Now, the solar return chart can show certain astrological energy, direction, and tendencies, interests, etc. for the coming year. Now, it doesn't supersede or surpass your energy in the natal chart, but for the coming year, you may exhibit some astrological energy in connection with the solar return chart. Now, the thing about this too is you might, and again, you might exhibit energy strongly connected with your natal chart, but perhaps a little bit as well with that solar return chart for that year. Now, you could calculate your solar return chart online at astro.com or astrotheme.com. Now, it's important. This is not misconstrued with a solar chart. Now, a solar chart is often calculated by astrologers when the birth time is unknown and puts the sun at the same position where the ascendant would be. Now, also, too, I'm looking at solar return charts in astrology. They are interpreted in the same manner as a natal chart is, but the direction and astrological energy, again, it's just associated for that coming year. Now, the coming solar year. Now, let's say someone that has Aquarius rising in their solar return chart, for example, may adopt an unorthodox appearance for the coming solar year. He or she may express more eccentric, unique, unconventional, unpredictable energy outwardly. Now, this could be a strong contrast from their natal ascendant, especially if it is a more conservative sign, such as, say, Capricorn, Cancer, or Taurus. Now, the person may also come across as more future-oriented and innovative than usual. Now, however, this energy that's expressed and exhibited, it won't eradicate the natal chart ascendant energy, but may modify it a little bit for that solar year. Now, also, it's important to look at the house the chart ruler falls in. As far as the solar return chart goes, as this could show the area in life where the energy is strongly dispersed. Now, let's say one of the rulers of the Aquarius ascendant falls in the 7th house, for example. A person may bring a lot of that selfless Aquarius energy into matters with others in general, a significant other, and a grandmother even. Now, also, too, the house that the sun falls in the solar return chart is important. This could indicate the sector of life that the sun's energy will be injected into for that coming solar year. Now, let's say someone has in their solar return chart, they have the sun in Taurus in the 3rd house, for example. Now, the focus may very well be on persistent, stable communications. There may be much concentration of energy at this time on having things demonstrated visually, assimilating information that way in a very methodical and deliberate manner. Now, let's take another example. Let's say that the sun falls in the 6th house. Now, this may shine the light, so to speak, on health-related matters, especially if it makes an inconjunct aspect to the solar return ascendant. Let's say it's in Gemini, for example. There could be a concentration of energy and attention on Gemini health-related issues, such as something, say, with the arms or the hands at this time. It could also be, keep in mind too, that the sun also rules the left or right eye depending on gender. There could also be a problem with one of the eyes, maybe double vision, perhaps something Gemini related, or you might have one eye moving much more rapidly than the other. Now also too, it could also indicate that vitality issues may occur from spreading oneself too thin. Now, another thing too is a significant element in delineating a solar return chart is looking at prominent points in your astrological chart relative to the solar return chart. Now, let's say, for example, my natal Aquarius MC is going to conjunct my Aquarius ascendant in the solar return chart for 2019 to 2020. Now, this suggests that many people may see on a first impression in that solar year that my astrological career will be of great significance and figure more prominently. There may be more emphasis on it and will be strongly pronounced and accentuated for that solar year. Now, attaining greater status and recognition in the astrological community may be imperative for me. Now, also, it is important to look at the ascendant in the solar return chart and see what house it falls in the natal chart. Now, this could indicate where a lot of the energy for the coming solar year will be distributed. Now, in my 2019-2020 solar return chart, the Aquarius ascendant is going to fall in the 10th house in my natal chart. Now, this could reinforce and reaffirm a lot of what I stated in what I just stated previously. In the other example, my astrological career and perhaps gaining more notoriety and recognition and connection with it can be of great significance in that solar return year. Gaining a reputation as that universal friend may be of importance as well. Now, also too, it's important, just like in a natal chart, to look at transits to the solar return chart. Now, transits can often bring about very unanticipated, unexpected, spontaneous events. Now, like in a natal chart, but for example, let's say in your solar return chart you have Saturn in Capricorn in the 7th house, but later on in transit, during the solar return period, it traverses your 8th house. Now, when it hits the 8th house, there may be some limitations, restrictions, in connection with moral, emotional, monetary support, and shared resources. Now, it might be which might make you feel somewhat despondent and melancholy, considering that Saturn would be in Capricorn in that example. Now, let's say at the same time, it makes an opposition to your 2nd house Sun in Cancer in the solar return chart. Saturn in Capricorn in the 8th house issues may make it more difficult in attaining Sun in Cancer basic wants associated with the home and family, and being in the 2nd house might have an impact on one's self-esteem and self-worth, and even mundane tasks might require arduous, laborious efforts at this time. So anyway, I want to say in conclusion, solar return charts can be of importance for the coming year for you. However, it doesn't supplant or supersede the natal chart energy. It may modify it to some degree for that coming year. Now, the thing about this is solar return charts calculated for one location may be more auspicious than perhaps being calculated for a different location. Now, again, these charts do not permanently replace any natal astrological energy, doesn't obliterate it at all, but what it does in many cases, it may give you simply more promising energy, astrological energy for the coming year, which may not have been necessarily been indicated by transits to your natal chart. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for my take on the solar return chart and astrology, and stay tuned next time where I'm going to be giving you my Aries June 2019 horoscope forecast part 2 of 2. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.